Today we're going to be replacing the batteries in our 2U APC. I'm going to take you through the steps in this process. This will apply for a lot of the 2U APCs, and I'm going to show you how you can make sure you get the right batteries for your APC. And we're also going to look at, when we put the new batteries in, the reconditioning steps that you need to take. So the first thing on most of these APC 2U units, quite a few of them out there, but you will find that there's a little bit of a side latch that you can kind of press in and pull the front off. Once you're inside here, you're going to see that you have retainers on this. Have your unit, of course, powered off. Does have to have that happening, and also unplugged at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and take the retaining screw out here from this side first. And then when you start pulling it out, you'll hit a latch here. And so you push down on this button right here to be able to release this. And there are multiple of these latches also. So you do need to pick this up. These RBC units are quite heavy, to be honest with you, but they're nothing compared to some larger UPSs. And there it is. This is our RBC unit that we're going to actually be replacing the batteries inside of. Let's go to the garage and replace these batteries. So you have a couple options when it comes to replacing the batteries in your APC RBC. You can open it up and replace them yourself. This is going to cost in the range of about usually $60 for a rebattery as of this time. Or you can buy an official replacement whole battery pack. Official comes from APC in the several hundreds of dollar range as of this time. So as we get inside here, we'll see that I'm actually going to be replacing it with the same type of batteries that I had before in it, which have lasted almost about 3.5 years. A pretty good lifespan. And we just had a storm. We had some good runtime on them, but we have 2 sets of batteries. We have 2 of these UPSs, and so we're rebattering both of them and recabling one of them at the same time. So a Torx 8 is going to work. These have proprietary screws that are a kind of weird triangle shape that I don't see very often, but a Torx 8 will fit in there and allow you to take this out. So you will need a Torx screwdriver, and check the description below for links to all of this stuff. So as we take this out, there's a couple of steps. It's not that difficult, and there's a couple things to be mindful of when you're doing this also that we'll talk about as we get into the recabling process. And so these batteries are 12 volt, 9 amp, and they have T2 connectors. So if you look, that will be delegated as SP12-9 with T2, and these are the Sigma Tech batteries that are already in here that we're going to be replacing this with. There's 2 kind of areas here that you're going to just take a flathead or something and just give those a pop up. And then on the back side here you can see that there's latches, so when you pop that off, there you go, you've got your battery pack. Do not just dump the batteries out when you're about to recable a battery pack. You want to always take a picture of what's going on. This way, if you get confused about what's happening, you can look back at your picture you just took before you uncabled things. Now, when we're removing this, the first thing that you're going to do is kind of just take this up and then just pull these out one at a time and disconnect them as you're going. Check for signs of corrosion as you're going along. You can see these batteries here have pretty much no signs of corrosion that I can see on them. They look like they're in really good shape, so they've been faring pretty darn well this entire time. This is actually a fuse inside here, and this is one of the things on one of our battery packs that I did notice did have some issues. So we're actually getting a whole new cable set and a new replacement sled. Links to that also in the description below. But this has a fuse in it, so if you ever run into a problem, you should check and see if your fuse is blown. And this is probably about the only time you're ever going to have to clean out the inside of your case. So you might want to do that while you're at it. And if you've got a shop microfiber cloth or something, that'll work perfectly for cleaning this out. All right, good as new. Next, let's open up our new batteries. And we're going to check the voltage on these just to make sure that they're decently fresh, and also inspect the connectors to make sure that they didn't get crushed. They should ship like this and have protectors on the ends. If they don't have protectors on the ends, be very careful that they didn't get fractured or something in the moving process, because these come double boxed. They should come double boxed if you're ordering a couple of batches of them, and they should also have, of course, this foam padding that provides insulation in case they get, dropped. Like, pretty much I can guarantee everything in the Postal Service gets dropped. And this is one of the reasons I do like to buy the Sigma's tech. And again, links to those in the descriptions below. They always seem to come packaged pretty darn well. And don't forget your old batteries you may be able to take to certain facilities like Batteries Plus possibly, and get a trade-in credit for. That could be something that you want to check into if you have time and if there's one near you. And before you get rid of any packaging, we're going to go ahead and test this. So we're going to check this out with our Klein Tools multimeter, and we're going to put this into DC mode, and I'll backlight that so you can see also. And we're going to check out each one of these, and you can see that we are registering right at about 12.11 volts. On that one, 12.16 volts on this one, 12.16 volts on this one, and 12.12 volts on this one. Let me know in the comments below whether you think that's a decent voltage for these to come new from a reputable seller or not. I am a little bit on the fence about that. I would like to see it a little bit higher, but at the same time, I think that this is going to still be a good set of batteries. Do physically inspect them, make sure that you don't see anything that's absolutely horrible. This one does seem to have some problems possibly with it. So if you look here, it does seem like there has been, I don't even know if I would call that leakage, or it doesn't appear to be leakage actually. It appears to be like a manufacturing thing because it's not scraping off at all. So this one definitely, I'm going to keep an eye on this battery pack. Looks like this was actually part of the remanufacturing process most likely for this battery. The rest of these actually look really clean, so I didn't see any dings or cracks. Certainly if you check the edges, that's probably one of the biggest places to check, especially if your box looks like it's been really beat up, which these boxes are heavy, so the more of these you order at a given time, the usually better deal you'll get, but also at the same time that comes with the risk that the shipping person that is delivering it to you is going to throw them whenever they get to your door because they are upset, because these are heavy. I think this looks good enough, so I'm going to go ahead and take off these protective nubs. So you can see that we've got a screen grab pulled up here. So like I mentioned earlier, I hope you have taken a screenshot. If you haven't, you can go back through the video and pause it if you have this exact battery pack. If you don't, then you probably should have taken a picture. All right, so I'm gonna start by putting in the first battery pack here. And then we can put our cables on top. Easily cable them up without causing any kinks. And you should hear them click into place. That means that you've got a pretty good connection there. Now this one's slightly trickier because it goes from this side and spans over the top to this next battery, which is over here. And you might be concerned that your cabling is inaccurate, but on this particular one, it is not. Even though you just connected a red to the black there, that is actually the way this series is run. And so this one down here is going to connect to this one here, and this red one is going to go down beneath it, so we'll do that one first. And get it in there as best as possible. Maybe I can get this worked over the top of this one. Get in there. Yeah. And there we go. And so another thing, if you have a multimeter, you can do at this point is you can test the voltage coming out. And so that's not a bad thing to do either, just to make sure you haven't made any catastrophic cabling errors. And we can see that we are at 48 volts DC, which is what this battery pack should be at, just a little bit above it actually. So that does look like everything is right here. So we're ready to go ahead and seal this right back up. And we'll put our 3 screws back in. And don't strip them out. You don't have to put them in super duper tight, but you do need to keep the case together so that it can get into the UPS assembly. All right, and there we go. Let's go get our battery pack put back into the UPS, and then we're gonna run through the battery conditioning. And so when you slide it back in here, just kind of go slow a little bit, and it should, after you get it past the first retaining clip, slide in pretty positively. And a little bit of a push there. You don't gotta go crazy. And we'll get this screw, the retaining screw, tightened back down now. And plugged back in, and the cable's secured. Put the front back on. And that's it. We are next going to go through the steps. I haven't plugged this in yet, so I'm going to do that now. Here we go. And then we're going to go ahead and power on the unit. And it'll tell us that it's on the utility. And so we can see that as it rolls through its little menu here, we've got 100% battery, and it's giving us about 2.5 hours of runtime is what it's saying here. In the past, we actually have used this particular unit for longer term running than we should have, but it did definitely come in clincher when we had extended outages and could only run the generator for certain periods of time. And this was allowing us to keep the internet up. We only kept the internet and a Wi-Fi access point up off of this. So on the topic of whether or not you should be looking at a used APC or other UPS system, would give just these couple of things that are my own thoughts. Of course, you make your own decisions, but for myself, I'm not scared of a UPS if it is in a business setting. I've bought a lot, actually, of UPSs off of businesses that are either closing business or selling out, moving out of a location into a different location and downsizing their equipment needs. Of those, I've been able to test in detail every single one of them ahead of time. That is the difference between buying locally used that is coming out of good condition. Every single one of those I've also rebatteried, and those are actually quite a few different systems, all the way up to some pretty big 10 kilowatt systems, and even an older trip light, which was a total pain in the butt, 10 kilowatt system as well. But I have had luck. I have rebatteried all of them after I've bought them. I typically myself feel better about lead acid batteries because while those will make a mess, their potential to erupt into like fire or something like that is significantly lower. But I would also suggest make your own decisions, and certainly if you're getting something sent to you that you're buying online, I would be very, very hesitant if it was not coming freight. Freight is definitely the way that you would want a UPS to show up because these are typically incredibly heavy, especially the larger the unit is. Now maybe a smaller unit might be okay to order from like an Amazon or something like that. They typically have quite a bit of styrofoam in them, but if you find one and it's used and it's a good price, definitely make sure a used UPS that you're interested in is at a very, very good price because they really do have to be rebatteried for your own, just knowledge. And almost assuredly, they're going to have bad batteries. But make sure you rebattery it and test it out before you would ever agree to buy it. And so I hope you've had fun watching along as we do the rebattering process on some UPSs. And I have tons of UPSs throughout my house. This is something that has really lowered the amount of mysterious electronics dying that I've experienced over the years. But we live in an area with a ton of lightning. It is that time of year again, and just this morning we had a pretty extended, about a 6-hour power outage as a result of some pretty serious storms that rolled through the area. So it's not unprecedented here to get lightning strikes even on our pole out front here. But I would also say make your own decisions if you're looking at used or new, and do what you're comfortable with. This is Digital Spaceport, and I will check you guys out next time.